A2IM, the collective voice of independent music.
Hi, my name is Trisha Carter. I'm from the Canadian Independent Music Association, and I'm thrilled to be on the panel with A2IM's Indie Week for International Global Marketplace Overview of Canada. I want to thank again Richard and Lisa and the team at A2IM for having me here today. So let's get started. So Canada is the 9th largest music market overall in the world, with total streaming revenues of 5th and other digital for 8th of physical sales. In 2018, our digital sales of total revenue was almost 75% of total revenues, and it continues to grow. Although still selling almost 30 million revenues in vinyl, making us the 7th largest vinyl market in the world. A few stats about Canada. I think most of you know where we are, but did you know that we have the 2nd largest geography in terms of mass in the world? And Canada is, given all that, the 39th largest, I don't know how you want to look at it, in terms of the world's population. Our biggest cities are Toronto and the Greater Toronto Area, which encompasses about 6 million people, and half of which are actually foreign-born. The biggest cities and music markets in Canada are Toronto, Montreal, Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg, and Vancouver, with smaller and more emerging markets coming out of our East Coast in Halifax, St. John's, Fredericton, Moncton, and in the West in Regina, Saskatoon, and etc. When you think of Canada, you probably think of some of our legends of the music market that include, especially in the folk era, like Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, Leonard Cohen, getting into the band, the Guess Who, BTO, earlier legends like Paul Anka, superstars like Andy Kim, Anne Murray, jazz legends, Oscar Peterson, female song legends like Celine Dion, Sarah McLachlan, Shania Twain, Alanis Morissette. The list goes on and on and on and on. But, recently we've had a lot of success in the urban market with Drake and dance, with pop, with Justin Bieber. And of course, one of the bands that we're very, very proud of because they come from the indie world is Arcade Fire. CIMA, the company I work for, is the equivalent of A2IM in Canada. We stand for the Canadian Independent Music Association. And CIMA was actually originally created in 1971 with a bunch of guys, I think, sitting around a hotel room or bar talking about the fact that we need a Canadian music market. We have the unique situation in Canada of being right beside the biggest music market in the world. So, for us, we want to make sure not all our artists leave Canada and go to the States or go abroad. So CIMA was formed. We're a trade association that represents the independent music community in Canada. A majority of our members are labels, and then managers, publishers, festivals, producers, and artist entrepreneurs. Primarily, we were started as a label-focused association. Along with the beginning of CIMA, the Canadian industry focused on our radio, and we created something called Canadian Content, or CanCon, as it is. And that was a regulation that was made with our broadcasting organization to make sure that Canadian music was being played on our commercial radio stations. How it's determined is it's made up of something called the MAPL system, MAPL, music, artist, production, lyrics, and making sure that 35% of music played on commercial radio is of Canadian content. And this was simply to ensure that Canadian stars and music wasn't getting saturated too much by the bigger U.S. market below us. And it's worked really well, making sure our artists are on an equal playing field, etc. CIMA right now has 325 companies that are members, which encompasses about another thousands of musicians and artists through there. Another thing unique to Canada is we are a bilingual country, English and French, which means everything that we produce here must be taken into consideration on equal value. just to do a few statistics before I jump a little bit more in Canada, our major streaming platforms are Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Google Play, Tidal, Deezer, and YouTube Music. Plus, there are other smaller operations. Just to note, we do not have Pandora available in Canada. Our performing rights associations, the major one is SOCAN, Neighboring Rights, we use Resound, and Mechanical. There's CMRRA, plus other licensing associations like MROC, CPCC, SODRAC, Connect, and Artisti. Major distribution is quite similar to the States through a lot of the indies go through the major multinationals like Universal, Warner, and Sony. And also use CD Baby for indies, and there's The Orchard. We have a number of national funding associations. Aside from CIMA, there's Music Canada, which also represents the multinationals, MMF Canada for the managers, MPC for the publishers, and CARIS, which is our equivalent of producing the Juno Awards, which is similar to your Grammy Awards. And then we have a ton of regional associations, which we have a site called musicexportcanada.com, which you're welcome to check out and find out more about them. As I mentioned, Canada is a huge country, so, touring is very difficult, and we often rely on going up and down through the states. Touring's a little impossible right now, and we all know why, but when it resumes, and we hope it all does soon, anchor with some of our major music conferences like Canadian Music Week in Toronto, Halifax Pop Out East, the CMAs, M for Montreal, Megaphono, all centrally based, Breakout West in the Western provinces. Plus, try and get on a tour in Canada. There's great large public touring festivals like Rifflelandia and Sled Island out west, Calgary Folk Festival, Vancouver Jazz, Winnipeg Festival in the West, Osheaga, OVO, Cavendish Beach Festival, Luminata, Carabana, TD Jazz Fest, Montreal Jazz Fest, Halifax Jazz, and Festival d'été in Quebec. We have some great indies, and many of whom are our members. The top indies, according to the 2018 stats, if you want to check out the major players on the independent sector, are 604 Records, Cadence Music Group, Dynalone Music, Audiogram, Dare to Care, Last Caring Records, Linus Entertainment, Network Productions, and Secret City. And other big ones of note are Just in Time, Alma Records, Mint Records, Chronograph, Six Shooter, Bond Sound, Sonic, Monster Cat, and Stony Plain. And keep in mind all of this, in Canada, we're very lucky to have so many artists doing well because we're a well-funded organization. Canada is lucky to have both performing arts funding and funding for the commercial industry through the Canada Music Fund, which looks at individual initiatives and collective initiatives. Right now, we're also very lucky with everything going on with COVID that we've got a huge advocacy team on CIMA looking out for everybody on the independent sector and all the musicians and artists to make sure that they too have funding and aren't left behind. Some of the funding includes the latest, which is an emergency support fund for the cultural, heritage, and sport organizations. It's more of an extended relief program to keep the arts alive and in a three-tiered approach over a more extended program. And I'm going to leave you with just a few names of some artists in Canada. And these are all independent artists that we're really proud of. And, if you have a little time in your day, and I think we all have a little extra time these days, check them out. They come from all genres, like Grimes, The Weeknd actually was originally independent, Carly Rae Jepsen, The Strumbellas, Arcade Fire, Stars, Tegan and Sarah, Broken Social Scene, The New Pornographers, City in Color, Feist, Daniel Caesar, The Strumbellas, The Dead South, Tanya Tagak, Patrick Watchin, Kate Trinata, Caribou, The Beaches, Mac DeMarco. There's so many more I can mention here. For more information on the Canadian industry, please visit CIMA at cimamusic.ca. Thanks a lot. It's been great talking to you today. I hope I can answer any questions later.